assets. And that one has three components to it. One is financial assets, so how much financing is available and how easily or difficult it is to access that financing. Number two is skills, access to skills. How hard is it to find skilled people to run your entrepreneurial venture? Number three is infrastructure. Infrastructure as in telecommunications, electricity, that really are the basic requirements, physical requirements to run a business. Number three is what we call policy accelerators. So this is all the sort of bureaucratic aspect of it, starting all the way from legislation, all the way down to administrative burdens, such as licensing, taxes, rules and regulations that affect business fluidity. And then number four is business support. Okay, so how much services are available for entrepreneurs? If you need lawyers, accountants, when they need help with regard to strategy, to cash flow management, all those things are things day to day that entrepreneurs need. If you have an entrepreneur who is an inventor, for example, or a fashion entrepreneur, or what different type of entrepreneurs, they may be very good at their craft, but not selling business. So how services are available to support them into translating their passion into a viable business is very, very important. Now, on those four aspects, we got some surprises and some things that were not too surprising. Culture, good surprise is that there seems to be a resurgence of positive attitudes towards entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. 57% of the respondents, and the monitor talked to about 1,000 organizations, entrepreneurs, and they said 57% of them said that in their view and in their experience as an entrepreneur, it is desirable to be an entrepreneur. People had positive attitudes towards them. That's been fantastic news. And with regard to, for example, attitudes towards failure, they told us that 64% felt that failure was not a big problem. That there's no people who have failed and started again. So in the African context, it's not a big issue. Whereas in some other countries, it is a big issue. Like especially in Asian countries, entrepreneurs, when people fail once, they have a stigma on their back and they really have a hard time starting again. But it doesn't seem to be the case in Africa. That's the good news. On the asset side, whether it's finance, whether it's skills, whether it's infrastructure, we have a problem. Okay? On the finance side, when we ask the question, is it easy to get access to finance? Only 16% agree, which means that 84% disagree. This is for new companies. If it's growing companies that are already, which is more alarming, companies that are already existing, so therefore that have a kind of a track record, only 31% agree that it is easy to get financing, which means that 69% disagree. Okay? And then when we asked about, okay, well, if you get access to finance also, do you get it in good terms? On that one, 65% say, well, if you do get access to financing, the cost of financing, in other words, interest rates or the equity you need to give is too high. Okay? So 65% say it's too high. So this is something we knew, but it's fantastic to have some tangible data straight from the entrepreneurs about that. When it comes to skills and talent, we ask, is it easy to find people to work for you as an entrepreneur who have the right training, the right skills to help you in your organization, be it in marketing, be it in finance, be it in operations? Only 16% agree, which means, again, 84% disagree. So Monitor looked at, for example, the issue of the education system, saying that the education system is still based on the classic old education, but not preparing people to run entrepreneurial ventures, but we are a new continent, or in a way, in terms of when it comes to modern business. And we need people who are not just trained to go and sit and work in a bank, or go and sit in a ministry. We need people who can think about finding customers locally, finding customers overseas, understanding operations, being able to communicate in different languages, exporting, importing. These are the skills we need, but our education systems apparently don't seem to prepare people practically for that. That's a big issue. The second issue related to that is that when communities have a hard time finding trained talent to manage entrepreneurial ventures, the way around it is to import that talent. We often give the example of Dubai. Dubai, most of the local population in Dubai is not necessarily business driven, but they've been very good at attracting perhaps the best talent on the planet when it comes to sectors that they need. The smartest Kenyans, the smartest Nigerians, the smartest Danes, the smartest Germans, you find them in Dubai. So there are ways, if you don't have the talent locally, to create conditions to attract that talent. And maybe in the short term, that's what we're going to need to look into in Africa. And 60% say that university and colleges, I mentioned that the number is 60% say that universities and colleges don't train people for entrepreneurship development. Infrastructure, that one you all know. The biggest issue is electricity. And the comment, generally speaking, is infrastructure is poor and unreliable. So that's a key component that I think we think needs to be addressed. When we move to the next requirement for entrepreneurship policy, that one has two components. It has legislation and administrative burdens. Legislation, generally speaking, the respondents say that's not a problem. In law, like in terms of, if you will, the legal framework about free markets, mixed economy, usually governments are quite open to that. And we've seen, since the end of the Berlin Wall, mixed economy is the system that most countries adopt now. Where it becomes problematic is in the practical administrative side of it, as I mentioned earlier, where entrepreneurs spend so much time dealing with a lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy, just to operate. And there was a sort of a side question that was asked also to understand the impact, the effect of that. Because what that means is that most companies and most would-be entrepreneurs choose to remain informal. Because if they become formal, there's so many costs associated with operating. You need a license for everything. There's one Kenyan company that said, I need a license for my bicycle drivers, I need a license for fire thing, I need a license, if I need a leaflet, I need it to be stamped. By the time you finish with all of that, you can't run a business like that. And so when we ask, do you know of any entrepreneur, so we didn't ask them directly, but we suspect this for themselves, who has cut corners on those things. They said 62% said yes, we know. So that's a very serious one. And then finally, business support. Business support, number of issues here. Typically, business support comes from government programs. Now all of governments in Africa. And we in African countries, we like to copy each other. If one starts an agency for SME development, next thing you know, the other countries doing the same thing. But those government programs don't work. They are poorly staffed. They don't staff with people who are competent enough to support entrepreneurs. You can have a young, non-business experienced person advise an entrepreneur. It just doesn't work. But they're very costly, those programs. And they are not available outside the big cities. That was the big complaint also from our respondent. Second piece is that we learned that the best form of support is through networks, peer-to-peer, where an entrepreneur speaks with another entrepreneur about, well, you have this problem with licensing, how did you deal with that one? It's practical, they respect each other, so creating networks or forums where these people can come together and discuss is a form of support that is not developed enough on the continent. And then business development services as well, around, again, accountants. If you're a small business, you cannot afford to employ an accountant full-time. You cannot afford to employ a lawyer full-time. You cannot afford to employ a marketing person full-time. So sometimes you would outsource that. And in the African context, it's very, very difficult to find this kind of support. So that became also a huge problem. So to summarize, culture, we seem to be doing fine. Assets, be it finance, skills, or infrastructure, we have a big problem. Policy, be it legislation or administrative burden, is kind of a mixed bag. We're okay on legislation, we're suffering on practical support conditions to operate. And then business support, we have a problem with the availability of business support and the form of business support that we put in place to support entrepreneurs. Now, I must caveat the last one because it depends on the community. We must remember that there are communities across Africa. If you take the Babilike in Cameroon, if you take the Fulani in West Africa, in East Africa the same. I don't want to name because there's too many East African journalists, so I don't want to say who is over here. But you find that some communities are naturally entrepreneurial. And this coaching, this business support in those communities happens naturally. Because people go, in terms of family gatherings, they can speak to an uncle, a cousin, who can help them with custom issues, accounting issues, whatever the case may be. So where those natural family supports don't exist, there's a need to create other forms of support, and that's an area that's severely lacking. So that's pretty much the general gist of it. Monitor is going to make report a summary of the findings. I think in the next few weeks it will be available on the Monitor website, the media website, the ELN website. And then you also find specific data related to your country. What I've given you are the numbers, aggregate numbers, but if you want more of the data per country, you'll be able to find it in the report.
So